Hey, Dad,
Hey, Kath.
why on earth did Robert start a music store? I mean, he was a school teacher. Isn't that like a step down?
Well, no, actually, if you have to go back into those days when he was teaching school, Robert was always kind of an entrepreneur on his own right, but in the days when he was teaching school, he was a head teacher, right, but above him was a principal, and then which sort of roamed around. Langley had those three-room schools, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 was the splits, and then grade 7 you went off to another school, and then you went off to high school. And he had a principal, and then above the principal was superintendents. Well, they would come in and they would do classroom drop-ins, and unannounced, right? Just drop in any old time, just as a teacher inspection. He hated that.
I can imagine he would have.
Right, you know, it's just really tough. And then, you know, the day book or your timing, your lesson plans have to be up to date and current, right? And Robert wasn't really that detailed of a guy. And the other thing that really bothered him, right, was when he was writing on the blackboard in those days, do cursive writing, right, in grade 5 and 6, and teaching that. As a teacher, if you had to cross, the J had to cross the line exactly. The I had to have the sharp tail on it. It just was crazy, right?
Why would he start a music store, though? I mean, a teacher, you'd think like a bookstore or something more academic.
Well, you remember I was talking about Emo, right, his dad.
Oh, yeah?
Right, yeah, and his mother Edith, right? They were both in the piano business. Remember, they were down in Portland at Colton's piano store. We were talking about that a little bit ago. That was basically free labor. You know, they didn't charge him at all, right? And
Robert would have liked that.
Yes, Robert liked his free labor. So his mom would run the store, and after school, right, he'd go in and he'd do the phone calls or the appointments, and she was a very good secretary in the other stores too. So.
Oh, very cool. And when he first started in the music stores, pianos were a big thing. But didn't he also do some antique work, or was that later?
Well, that was later, yeah. That was Robert and I together, right, started an antique store.
How did that happen?
Well, was a gal that was in the piano business before named Mary Lowen, and her husband Bill brought the Kawai pianos into Canada, and they distributed Kawai pianos coast to coast. Eventually, just like all Japanese companies, Kawai came back into Canada and decided to take it over, do their own thing. And then Mary and Bill actually got separated, but Mary got involved in doing these little collectibles in these small little antique stores, and it was quite a popular fad back in the late 60s, early 70s, these antique stores. Very much like, remember when we wandered around Orange down there in California?
Or like Fort Langley?
Yeah, well, Fort Langley is exactly where we had the store, right? We had it in the old fort. And we did this very similar thing to what we do here, where we're in the different rooms. Like right now I'm in the drum room, right? And last week we were in the amp room, and the week before that we were in teaching room. You know, and so what we did in those cases is we actually had, I don't know if this has got much to do with the music store, right? But anyway.
Company history.
Company history, there you go. And well, actually I did sell a Square Grand Heinzman. We packed it up and shipped it over to Japan, right?
That's really cool.
That's kind of fun. Anyway, we set up an entire room out of these doctors' offices. They had where all the examining rooms were,
yeah,
right? And we would set up an entire room, and you know, you'd buy the whole furniture, right down to the rugs. You know, it was kind
and when
of fun.
did you guys go back to being strictly in the music business?
Well, we always were in the music business. Of course, that was the sideline. Was that little? And
when did you give up the sideline?
Well, it only lasted about 2.5 years. We lost the manager, right, of that, right. He became ill, her husband became ill, right, and just couldn't find anybody else to run it, and we were too busy really running the music store to
So it ended in the early 70s?
Yeah, it ended in the early 70s, right, yeah. And people still like Ken Passmore and that kind of stuff locally here still would know exactly who I was and who Bob was.
Awesome.
We even auctioned, through that system, we even auctioned off a whole pile of organs and pianos. Went in there, we put together a sale that way.
A piano in every room. Your kitchen, it needs a piano.
That was lots of fun.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, talk to you later.
Bye.